Have you read your word today? Let's get into it. Today's word of the day comes from Matthew chapter 11, and it says, "To me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." Jesus says, come here. I got you, stinkerbutt. Relax. He says he's going to take care of the rest for you. Now, Jesus is calling people who are overwhelmed, heavily burdened. He's calling you and telling you, listen, you don't have to do this all by yourself. You're not alone here. I got you. And I know from an adult to another adult, that is beautiful to have someone that you can rely on. You don't always have to depend on yourself because you got Jesus. Chapter 11 is so jam-packed with fruitful information for us to take away. And it starts off by discussing John the Baptist, who is currently in prison. And he calls for his disciples to go over to Jesus and ask Jesus, are you the one? Are you the one that's coming? Or should I be expecting anybody else? I need to know. John the Baptist questioning this is reassurance for us, because John the Baptist was the one who came before Jesus. He was the one who was prophesizing, saying Jesus was coming. He was baptizing people left and right. He was a part of the prophecy. John the Baptist was a part of the prophecy. And he is questioning, listen, I need to make sure. Are you the one? Are you the one? Now, for us, it doesn't show that John the Baptist had a lack of faith, but it did show that he was doubting. He was curious. He was concerned. Are you the one that I'm waiting for? Or is it someone else that we're waiting for? Just give me the information. I need to know now. And it gives us reassurance, because even sometimes the best of believers have a question and doubt. But when we do doubt, we look at his actions. We look at Jesus's actions and go from there. Jesus explains to John the Baptist's disciples in chapter 11, verse 4. He says to them, "Go and tell John the things that you hear and that you see. The blind see, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, and the deaf hear. The dead are raised up, and the poor have the gospel preached to them. And blessed is he who is not offended because of me." Then they left. Good example for us. And I say it's a good example for us for this reason. John the Baptist had questions. He wanted to make sure, this is who I've been waiting for. This is who I've been preaching about. This is the one that I told everybody was coming. Is that you? Is that you, Jesus? You, or have you not realistically been in that situation where you were almost questioning, God, is that you telling me to do this? I need to know. Is this you? Is this you moving in my life? Or please give me a sign. Jesus sent back word of his actions. And what a great word for us to look at, because there are going to be seasons where you doubt. You're concerned that, God, I know you looked out for me in March of last year. I know you looked out for me literally yesterday, but I need to know, are you going to be here today? Look at his actions. He's never left you or forsake you. Look at his actions, baby. Love in verse 7, where John the Baptist's disciples had left. They left to tell John the message. And what did Jesus do? Immediately, he turned to the crowd that he was speaking to and was like, listen, y'all ain't heard about John? Okay, John, that man, baby, he went down the line about how good John was. So in this time, Jesus was talking to a multitude of people, and he was like, listen, y'all know John? Well, let me tell you about John. John is a part of the prophecy, okay? John is the one who came before me. John. Ain't anybody born ain't better than my John. You hear me? Like, Jesus had John's back, and that's a good friend. That's his cousin, but that's a good friend and a good representation for us. Because honestly, if they're going to applaud you in front of your face, your friends better be applauding you behind your back too. Keep that in mind. Now, as we get into verses 16 through 34, Jesus is talking to the cities that he went through and blessed and took care of, and they didn't repent. And he's telling them, listen, y'all didn't repent. Y'all seen the miracles. Y'all seen what happened, but y'all still didn't repent. What's going on? 2 is a good example for us, because how are we reflecting on what God has done for us in our life? We know that God took us out of the storm, but then we go back to sin intentionally. We know what God brought us out of, but then we work our way back to it. Baby, no, this is just a reminder for us too, as Christians, as believers, that what God pulls us out of, when God works in your life, baby, stay faithful, stay accountable to what he's doing for you. Stay faithful to his word, stay faithful to the mission. This does not mean that you're not going to make mistakes, because you will, but I mean, willingly going back to what God pulled you out of. Oh, baby, we don't want to be compared anything to the cities that he's discussing in verses 16 to 24. You don't want to be a part of that. Last but not least, we're going to look at verses 25 through 30, where our word of the day came from. It starts off by praising the Father who is in heaven. He started off by praising God. And then he had an open invitation to us, an open invitation for us to come to him if we're burdened and overwhelmed. He basically says, listen, if you don't need me, don't need me. Don't need me. Let me read to you verse 25 in the Amplified version. It says, at that time, Jesus said, I praise you, Father, Lord in heaven and earth. I openly and joyful acknowledge your great wisdom and that you have hidden these things, these spiritual truths from the wise and intelligent and revealed them to infants, to the new believers, or to those seeking God's will and his purpose. Baby, one thing I know is my God is truthful. My God is the truth. My God is the way. My God is the light. He defines my purpose. He leads my steps. And when you are walking in the world, you tend to think that you have everything on your own. You tend to think you figured it out on your own. I've definitely been there. I thought I figured it out on my own. I thought I had it on my own. So this is no judgment to nobody, because I have no right to judge you, because baby, you can go back 3 pages, 3 chapters and judge me. You know what I'm saying? But Jesus is calling the infants, the new believers. He's calling the ones who are seeking God's will. He's calling the ones who are seeking purpose in what God is calling them to do. And he's saying, come to me. I know this is overwhelming. I know you're tired. I know you're overworked. I know you're overwhelmed, but come to me. My yoke is easy and my burden is light. You hear me? Come to him. So if you're going through something, you're overwhelmed, if you find yourself coming to every single body else but God, baby, stop for a moment. He should be your first course of action. First course of action. And the call is coming from inside the house, because honestly, I do it too. I do it too sometimes, where I forget who the real provider is. My Father. You're overwhelmed, you're overworked. Well, Jesus told me in Matthew chapter 11, verse 28, to come to him if I'm overwhelmed and overworked and burdened. God, you told me you was going to give me rest. And right now I don't have it. God, show me how to gather it. Lead my footsteps so I can get closer to you in this. You told me to rejoice in triumph, because you are developing me, because you are protecting me, because you are pruning me. God, give me that heart posture. Show me how to navigate this situation. You told me to come to you, and I'm coming to you. I trust that you can pull me out of this. I trust that you can grow me in this. I trust that you can show me how to deal with this. You told me in Matthew chapter 11, verse 28, and I believe you. I trust you, God, and I still believe you. Hey, when I tell you Matthew from chapter 1 to chapter 11 has not stopped eating. You hear me? This chapter is so exciting, and it's such a promise, and it's just so prophetic, and it's just showing us the prophecies being played out left and right. And I can honestly say, just by looking at these stories in Matthew chapter 11, by looking at this play-by-play, I can see how God's working. I can see how he weaves his way into my life, how I need to maneuver. My heart posture is beautiful. It's beautiful. Now, you let me know in the comment section what verses stood out to you in Matthew chapter 11. And guess what? I'm going to see you tomorrow for Matthew chapter 12, because where else am I going to be at? Where else am I going to be at? Got to get in that word. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.